Good morning. It is day 4, the final long leg of my pilgrimage to Holy Island from Melrose. Today I woke up in Wooler feeling a little bit stiff. My feet were pretty sore, but they've taped up and I've squished them into my boots, and we've started walking. And I've just got here, rather lovely sign telling me the way to go. And today is about plodding on forwards. Today I walk from Wooler to just the mainland side of the causeway, which takes you over to Holy Island. Significant parts of today will see me stop at one of the major landmark, probably on the whole route, which is St Cuthbert's Cave. And I'm not going to do a big history lesson here at all, because my history is always a little bit dodgy, but I'm going to do a bit more thinking and listening to the history and the wonderful story of Cuthbert, who walked these paths some 1500 years ago, less than that, and was seemingly a very remarkable man, person who was a monk at Melrose, went back to be the prior of that abbey, and then became a very reluctant bishop of Lindisfarne. And I like that fact, the fact he was a reluctant bishop. I think anyone who holds kind of roles as leaders within religious or political systems perhaps should have a bit of reluctance about them, reluctance about whether they're able to do the role, reluctance to whether this is actually something they want, but yet going and doing it anyway, especially in Cuthbert's case, feeling like he was called by God to fulfill that role, if only for a relatively short period of time before becoming a hermit on one of the even smaller islands of Farne just outside, next door to Lindisfarne. Anyway, having said I wasn't going to do a history lesson, there's a bit of a history lesson for you, and apologies for any incorrect information there. Today is a day when my feet hurt, I feel a bit stiff, but we plod on forwards, and I particularly want to enjoy today and be very present in the moment. I've got a lovely pilgrim's prayer that I've been praying each morning, and when I've remembered along the way as well. Unfortunately, it's on my phone, so I can't read it to you, but I'll try and post it at some point, because it's very much about just being aware of God in the everyday around us, and that's my hope and prayer for today. So, forwards. As the arrow says, we're going that way. I arrived here at St Cuthbert's Cave. It might not look like it from this video, but there were a number of people here looking round. The most pilgrims I've seen along the path. A number of people perhaps making day trips or doing local walks, but also a number of people who I chat to who were walking the full route over a number of days. So I didn't film a whole video of me there, but here's a sense of the place, which actually quietened out after a little bit, and it was good just to sit and to reflect and to pray just for a little bit of time before heading on. I am at the end of day 4 at Lindisfarne Inn, just the mainland side of the causeway. 16.04 miles, just a shade under 30,000 steps and 2,000 feet of elevation gain today. It's been a good walk in. Like I said in an early video, my feet were in a pretty bad place, and sort of remained in that way, but I managed just to keep plodding on. It wasn't a fast day, it didn't need to be a fast day. If anything, actually being forced to go a bit slower might have been a good thing. It's the last long day of walking today. It feels a bit funny to have completed all of these miles up until this point. Tomorrow I'll make the crossing early in the morning from the mainland. I'll walk the couple of miles from here at the hotel down to the causeway, onto the causeway before turning off onto the pilgrim's path, following the wooden pole way markers for about 3 miles across the sands and the mud and the water. It'll be a slow walk because of the conditions, but also it feels quite appropriate to have a slow walk. Everything has to be based around the tide, which is kind of an interesting way to live modern life. That still this island is completely reliant on the tides. Causeway opens tomorrow at 5 something in the morning, but I need to time my walk that enough of the water has dissipated, that the tide is still going out when I begin my walk, and that I manage to get over to the other side before it starts to come back in again. So my plan is to leave here at the hotel about 6:30, and then to begin the crossing around 7:15. People say it can take up to a couple of hours, so it'll take an hour and a half. I don't know, but we'll see. But it'll get me onto the island in plenty of time. It's always a slight apprehension of doing something a bit unusual like this. And then a day on the island, and I'll see what takes my fancy, why I'm there, and just it'd be good to have some time and space there and to reflect a bit on this pilgrimage up to that point. And as I finish this little reflection today, I was just thinking as I had my dinner and my pint of apocalypse, what's been the spiritual benefit of this pilgrimage? Perhaps that's the question that everyone's asking. And I found myself kind of thinking it's so easy to try and force meaning into something, and I know there's meaning and there's things developing here, but quite often it takes time to percolate, that things only really begin to make sense, the dots become joined up when there's some time and space, and so I'm trying to avoid that temptation of trying to say too much about the spiritual benefit of this pilgrimage at this time. I think I just need to let it settle, give myself some time to write before jumping on here. But as I said in an earlier video, on the prayers that I've been praying, that's on my phone, but I've written it down over dinner, and I prayed this at St Cuthbert's cave today, and I've prayed it in a few ways, and it's what I'm calling a pilgrim liturgy. It's something that I've sort of drawn together various resources into one place, as I often do. So maybe I'll finish with this prayer, and you might like to just have a moment today to also pray this along with me. Eternal God, you hold us here in your presence, in the presence of all who have prayed in this place. in the presence of the whole company of heaven. Servant Christ, renew our hearts. Welcoming God, you are the steps we climb, the rail we cling to on the way, the door that opens wide. Servant Christ, renew your spirit in our hearts. Tender God, you are the light in the unexpected wound and in the unexpected resting place on which we wait. Servant Christ, renew your spirit in our hearts. Mysterious God, you are the whitewashed walls of our unknown future. The subtle form, half glimpsed, the chink of hidden light. Thank you for journeying with me today.